As we know, the Commission has nearly gone for 5 years. And we also know that the Commission has also put out some preliminary reports, and we know, generally, I think, the direction in which they're going. One of the questions that has been raised is about a national redress scheme, which we support, because we think we need a system outside of the Church to hold and support survivors, and there'll continue to be survivors and need for support of survivors in the years to come. We need to take time to consider carefully all the recommendations. We need to go back to our advisory panel and seek their advice as well. We also need to disseminate our thoughts and considerations around the whole of the province ministries, which is quite extensive, and receive some feedback before we respond more formally, which I would like to do early in the new year. One of the things I think that will come out for us to consider more carefully is our care for survivors and victims. As we know, people have carried these burdens for many years, often felt unheard, not trusted, not believed in terms of the pain and trauma they carried. We've tried to address that in the past, but we realise that this is a continuing journey of accompaniment and support, and I think the recommendations of the Royal Commission will advise us and guide us how we can do that better in the future. One of the lessons I think that the Royal Commission has brought the whole country as to the Church is a greater awareness and depth of the shame that we carry in both denying and avoiding this trauma and pain that people have carried and were carrying a long time ago, weren't able often to disclose it, weren't able often to share it, but we now recognise much more honestly and openly that people have suffered, people have carried enormous burdens over these years. This, of course, is of great shame to us, for those of us who profess the Christian faith, which is about care for children, care for all, and the value and dignity of all. It's also caused us to think, how do we best accompany people who have been hurt and traumatised over many years? I think we will continue to learn this role of accompaniment and support for those survivors of abuse. My hope from the Royal Commission is that every child will feel safe, not just in our institutions and the wide range of ministries that we run in this country and the ministries we serve overseas, but in their families and organisations, in the social, sporting and cultural events that they run and are engaged in, that our children in this country will feel more safe as time goes on. And for that to happen, we as adults and we who run ministries and sporting organisations and clubs and so on, we need to be aware of our role in protecting that space for children, so that children can grow safely in family and in society, knowing that they're loved and cared for. I'm aware that as this final report is being released, most of us, families and friends, are preparing for Christmas. Christmas, as we know, was a time of great vulnerability of Christ, his birth, his life, the care of his mother and his father. So this Christmas, I hope our children in our families, in our communities, in our ministries and lives, feel loved and valued and cared for. And I hope this happens for all our families and those we love. Particularly, I wish to acknowledge those who carry wounds and burdens at this Christmas, that our prayers and thoughts go with them.